Rail opponents say they might have to file for an injunction in federal court to stop construction of a $5 billion rail project in the islands. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Paula Akana. Opponents of the largest public works project in Hawaii history got their first hearing this morning in federal court, where they have filed suit. They claim the city and federal government failed to fully consider alternate technologies to rail. KITV4's KEOKI KERR is standing by in our newsroom with more. KEOKI.
And Paula, rail opponents say the city and the federal government have failed to turn over the administrative record full of public comments and official statements on rail for the last 6 months. A federal judge today told the government to produce that record, which could total 500,000 documents by mid-January. That would be 7 months after the lawsuit was filed. Rail opponents like Cliff Slater and former Governor Ben Cayetano entered the federal courthouse today in the first hearing of their lawsuit. They claim the feds and the city failed to explore technologies other than rail, like busways, and also should have done a better job plotting the rail route to protect historic sites like Aloha Tower and Irwin Park from the elevated rail line.
The question here is not how far along the project is. The question is whether they violated the law in putting this project together.
A hearing on the merits of this case might not get underway until late summer or early fall. But rail construction is set to begin in Kapolei in February, so the opponent's lawyer threatened to ask a federal judge to put the entire $5 billion project on hold.
If the city and the FTA are going to plunge ahead and start significant kinds of construction, we will have no alternative but to go in for a preliminary injunction.
We'll try to work with the plaintiffs and see if we can resolve this case as quickly as possible at the least expense to everybody, and hopefully it will not involve their efforts to stop the case.
The city is trying to get Cayetano and others who never submitted comments to the feds on rail during its environmental impact process disqualified as plaintiffs.
None of these particular plaintiffs participated at all, and they didn't raise certain claims that they're now complaining about in a lawsuit.
But rail opponents say that's another delaying tactic, just like the 6-month delay in getting the government's official record in the rail case.
That sort of thing, the cities and the FTA's delay, which will make necessary a preliminary injunction.
Now, the leading lawyers on either side are from California, and so is the judge, Wallace Tashima, because the federal judges here have recused themselves since they are concerned about the security risk of having the rail run right along Haleakawila Street outside the courthouse. Yes, nothing with rail is simple, Paula.
How true, KEOKI. But with all these players in the case being based in California, is that going to have an effect on the case?
Well, it could, Paula. They might hold some status conferences, they told the court today, and other routine meetings actually in California instead of here at the federal courthouse in Honolulu. That would make it much more difficult for the public and the media, us here in Honolulu, to monitor the case. But the judge says key hearings will still be held here in Hawaii, Paula.
All right. Thanks, KEOKI.